Hello again, everyone. In our last video, we took a look at creating basic off-mesh links using the built-in off-mesh link generation using the baking tools in the navigation menu. For this next video, we're going to take a look at NavMeshComponents. And a lot of the times when you look around the internet for examples of NavMeshComponents, it goes over how they work, but it doesn't necessarily go over how to actually implement them inside of your project. And there's a couple of steps that you need to take ahead of time. Now, inside of the course module for this week, I've added a link to a GitHub repository. This GitHub repository is the NavMesh components that Unity has been working on for several years now. The link should take you to here. If you do a quick Google search for NavMesh components, you should be able to find this floating around the internet somewhere. It's from the Unity Technologies GitHub. Now, these NavMesh components, there's a couple of things that you need to consider. If you scroll down here to the README, it has some examples of how to get started. It says to clone or download this repository and open the project in Unity. Alternatively, you can copy the contents of the assets NavMesh components to an existing project, which is what we're going to do. We're just going to basically open up our downloads folder and drag these folders into our project. Make sure the branch of the repository matches the version of Unity that you are using. And this is important. If you use the wrong version, like say you're running an older version of Unity and you use one of the newer ones, it might not work properly. So let's take a look at this. Right up here, the link that I have in the course is already set to the branch that we're using, which is 2019.3. If I open up the branches here, though, you can see that we can go all the way back to Unity 5.6, which takes us back to roughly 2015, 2016 or so. And it will roll back to whatever branch that you're using. But for ours, there's two separate branches. There's 2019.3-2D and then 2019.3. You're going to want the one that's the 3, not the one that's 2D, because this one's for the 2D assets package. Alright, so I have this set to 2019.3, and then what you want to do is where it says clone or download, you're going to want to download the zip. I'm not going to be covering how to clone this repository here because it basically just clones the project to your computer, and probably save that for another time. But you should just be able to download the zip, and once you have it downloaded, there is a folder that should come up, which is this NavMesh components folder. And this is the NavMesh components for 2019.3. Now, this is an actual Unity project. So if you go to add project in Unity Hub, you could add this as a project and look at all the different examples that there are for this project. The things that we're going to need are from the assets package. And I'm actually going to grab all of these folders here and then drag them into Unity. So I'm going to minimize my web browser here and then grab my folders that I want to bring into Unity. And then what I'll do is I'll then drag them into our project, into the assets folder. And we'll give Unity a second to do its thing. It's asking to reload Visual Studio. And this should have worked. So we should have an option for examples. We should have an option for gizmos. We should have a folder here for NavMesh components, and there should be another one for tests here. So I believe in the examples there are actually some scenes that you might be able to look through later. But for our purposes in this video, we're going to be concerned with the NavMesh components, and you'll see here that there's multiple scripts here that make these into editor components. You can see they have little icons that go along with them, which are these gizmos here that will get added to our scene. Now, we're going to have to create a couple of objects here for us to move between in this scene to take a look at how this is going to work. So I'm going to do this with some cubes. So I'll go to the hierarchy and I'm going to create a cube, and I'm going to move this cube so that it is inside of our NavMesh here. And I'm going to kind of make them like steps. So I'm going to increase the size of this one here. Make it a little bit lower. And then I'm going to duplicate it. And scale this one up a bit. And I'm going to duplicate this one. Move it over. And scale this one up some more here. So what you should see here is we've got several cubes that we're going to be able to jump between as the player. Okay, we're going to jump up these things, and we're going to set up some links so that the enemy can follow us. And I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger horizontally, and kind of move it over here a bit and down. Just give us like a bigger landing area. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set this up so that the enemy can jump from the plane up to this step, then up to this step, and then up to this step. And when it gets up to here, we'll make it so we can jump down, but not back up again. Okay? The only way that it'll be able to get to the top of this is by taking our NavMesh links that we're going to create, and we're going to point them to where we want them to be inside of our scene. Now, to get this started, we're going to have to bake these guys. So let's select these. And let's see. Keeps grabbing the health bar here. So I'm going to hide this health bar for a second. Or maybe not. I think I grabbed the wrong one. Alright, so I'm going to grab these different boxes here. And is this one high enough? No, it's not. I'm going to move this one in particular up a bit. There we go. And we'll select these and our base here. And I'm going to go to navigation, change this navigation static, and we'll go to bake and bake them. Okay. And we want to bake them in such a way that, actually I'm going to make these a little bit bigger. Bake them in such a way that they're not automatically generating off mesh links for them. Okay, so you can see we have our ones from our previous video there, and then these here, and I'm going to bake it one more time. Alright, so as of right now, if I were to hit the play button, and make my way up these blocks, you'll see that the enemy just freezes. Because technically his eye was being blocked. But he won't be able to actually follow me up these areas here. If I come back to this one, he can still move across this link. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up some off-mesh links so that he can actually follow us. Alright, so to get this started, I'm going to select this first cube, right? And I think I'm just going to label these platform. And platform 2. And platform 3. Okay, so now that we have this set up, what I'll do now is I'll select the first step, and I'm going to drag one of these NavMesh links onto this object. And we can see here that if I scroll around, it puts in one of those little arrows that we were just working with earlier, but it's one that we can actually move around and edit. So if I hit the move tool, I can actually maybe not the move tool. If I hit the move tool on these specific items, these little boxes here, I can actually move where the beginning and end point of these landings are. So if I move this here, and I move this upwards so it's sitting on top of this NavMesh that we have created here, and I'm going to move this side down a bit, it should give us a space where this guy can jump up to. Alright, so let's give it a shot. So I'm going to hit play. And he's following me. Looks like I got another box here. You can see he jumped up. And then he comes after me. But you notice how he always goes through the same space. So if I jump up here, if you're watching in the scene view, he always will go up through that area. It looks like I might have broke him. I think I broke him. I think I added some force to him or something, and he went taking off in the distance. But if I turn around here and I jump back up this platform again, see how he kind of snaps into a certain position, and that's because he's only allowed to jump from these points specifically. Now, what we can do is actually make those wider. If I go back, somehow my agent here, and there's my the NavMesh link option, what I can do is I can actually click and drag here, and you see that little blue ramp that's coming up. That's actually everywhere that he can jump up to get up to this point. Okay, that adds some width here. Cool. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another one of these. So I'm going to go to this one here, and I'm going to drag the NavMesh link to this. Select my different points. I'll move this one up. I'll take the end point here. Oops. Move this one into position here. Move it up there. And I'll increase the width on this one as well. And I'll also add one to this platform here so they can follow us all the way to the top. I'm going to take down the size of my gizmos a bit here. And I'm going to add one here to platform 3 as well. So I'm going to go to NavMesh link, add it here to platform 3. And what I'm going to do is put a point here. Move it closer. And where's the other end point here? Take the other end point. Move this one up and over. Oh, move the box here. Move this one up and over as well. This one's probably a little less critical. Maybe add a little bit of width to it, but not too much. And then I'm going to add one more to this, right? I'm going to add one more to this platform here. And put it on platform 3. And this one is going to be for the jump off. And I'm going to show you a little something here. Put this one into position there. And I'll tell him to land somewhere over here. Okay. So I'm going to hit the play button and run around the enemy here. Oops. I'm going to jump. Whoa. I'm going to jump onto this platform, and you should see what's happening here. He jumps all the way up. He disregards the steps that we made for the first one, and he should have probably headed down with me, but I think I might have gotten him stuck off the navigation mesh. So let's try this again. I'd have to build in some stuff into the character controllers that he wouldn't push off of these, I think. Alright, so he's up here. The problem that I have is that these aren't on the ground mask, but you see, if I jump down, he follows me there, and if I go immediately up to that platform, he follows me up. So what I could do is I can make this a one-way mesh link. So here it says bidirectional. You want to make sure you have the proper one selected here. And I'm going to change this so that it's not bidirectional. And actually that might be the wrong one. Let's see. If I increase the width, yeah, that was the wrong one. So we want this one to be bidirectional. We want this one to not be bidirectional. Okay, so it'll only be able to jump off from that one spot. You won't be able to jump up to that platform anymore. All right, one last thing. I want to make sure that all of these platforms are set to the layer mask for the ground. Now if I hit play, I can move around now. And I'll move to the top of this guy here, and we'll see now he will go up the stairs towards me. And then go down that particular link there. If I jump up to here, he should follow me up here. And if I go down here, he should follow me back the same direction. Pretty cool, right? So this is a way to add some intelligent features to your navigation meshes. There's also features to set it up so that you could have moving platforms that become obstacles in your scene. Also some options where you can dynamically bake your meshes at runtime as well with these NavMesh components. So I really suggest looking through these if you want to develop your AIs for your game a little bit further. But yeah, this is the initial setup and the basics of how it works. I think the last thing I want to show you in the next video is how to programmatically move the character so that he doesn't just look like he's like floating up the platform. So maybe he performs some sort of jump. So I'll see you in the next video.